Welcome to the True Mind Shifters channel. Today we will talk about a very interesting topic again, and that is a continuation of our theme of May, which is a fear of rejection.
We are, jumping right in, so let's get to it. This is the part that's a trip. I was rejected by people who were close to me, and I wasn't afraid of being rejected by them. I think I was afraid of other types of rejection in the past where I would just follow along what everybody said. I was the order taker. And when I stopped being the order taker and I started listening to people who were supporting me more, and then I started having my own point of view of what was right, and I started asserting that, then I was rejected. So what's interesting to me is in these other relationships where I was rejected, I was kind of letting that fear of their rejection and overinflated sense of deep desire for their acceptance and love dictate how I acted. Okay, which created almost like this mental prison, but I didn't even know I was in a mental prison, right?
Of
That
course.
once, but then it became revealed once I started to say, I started to create boundaries. I created boundaries in my life, and then I was rejected, and I
Of
had
course.
no awareness that in this form or in this process of creating my own boundaries as a grown woman with a family and a great job and like plenty of responsibilities and things that I take care of and take care of deeply, not just superficial checkbox take care, like take care of deeply and love and cherish, and be rejected by people close to me was not even on my mind. That if I'm just drawing some boundaries, like please don't do this, no, I had no idea the level of rejection that was waiting for me, but that was there my whole life.
Of course. Moreover, you forgot again, you talked about physics, but you forgot about a really, really cardinal law in physics, which is the law of life, cause and effect. You caused that effect by allowing that behavior from yourself. By being a yes person, you created that environment. And whenever you start changing it, you cause the effect.
Yeah.
So that is in what we can control. What we
Yes.
can't control is other people's reactions. We can control only how we show up.
Well, interesting though, because in response to, we'll say, conflict, right? There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And fawn is the yes person.
Mm-hmm.
Fawn wants everything to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I mastered, if you will, the art or skill of fawn, which is close to accepting, but not. Fawning is dangerous because it appears to be something it is not. Fawning appears to be agreement through understanding. Fawning appears to be acceptance through peace. But let's not deceive ourselves. Fawning is a coping mechanism that is deceptive. It is, yes, it's peaceful, but peaceful at a superficial level, because the moment the fawning person, I consider myself somewhat fawning, not all the time, but the moment the fawning person draws a boundary, then it becomes unveiled and revealed that it's all a lie. That whatever you thought was acceptance of you was only on like toothpick structure framework. Okay, toothpicks, fragile, ready to blow, not real structure, not foundation, not strong. It is not acceptance. But so don't mistake peacekeeping with radical acceptance and radical surrender of a situation.
When you're talking about phoning and how you were excellent at that, it's more. It is as far from surrender as 180 degrees from it. You know why? Because it's not only superficial to others, it's superficial to you.
Yes.
So what was happening, and you wouldn't even acknowledge that to yourself because you didn't know. Here, you didn't know. You knew here.
Mm.
As you were phoning, you were actually building out negative feelings, negative energy, which would transpire in some of your other actions and reactions somewhere
Yes.
else.
Yes. And what's interesting, as you say this, right? How we're taught to be good girls and we're taught to do this. Like that was my experience growing up. My mother was a very kind person, which we've talked about. She, so she almost socialized me to be a fawning person. Her intentions weren't bad. They weren't to say
Mhm.
my voice didn't matter. But I'll tell you right now, as a grown woman in her early 50s, this is what I'm working on, is how do I create space for my voice, right? And I have a voice, don't get me wrong, but the voice of what I need, I had to learn,
Mhm.
because I learned through fawning to not say what I needed.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that I didn't know how to articulate my own needs until I was like 45. So and then it's been a journey of learning how to articulate my needs since then, and I'll get to those resources another time, but, um, yeah, this is fascinating, and what we think about in terms of fear of rejection, what we do to be accepted, what we do to feel like we belong and that we're important, is it appears when conflict arises and our response to it. So using those trigger points, right, of conflict, fight, um, when you're not being valued, those are tremendous learning opportunities for us to learn about ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to transform.
Yes. And to transform, hence true mind shifters. Ta-da. When you give other people the space, the freedom to think and feel whatever it is they are going to think and feel,
Yes.
it is this magical act of doing less.
Which I could never understand before. When people were telling me that, I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean doing less? I should be able to do more. So the person would see that once again, Eva, comes from self-doubt and the lack of self-love and self-confidence. I'm going to go back there because I truly now understand. All my life, I had a self-doubt, and even you see it sometimes. Even today, in our private conversation, I shared with you a private example and I gave you my interpretation. And you told me, Marina, that's not how I see it. I see it differently. And you shared with me your vision, and it was completely opposite of mine. And I knew that mine was coming from a place of insecurity.
Yeah. And a fear of rejection.
Yeah. Fear of, I don't know, fear of rejection of, yeah, fear of rejecting of who I am.
Yes.
And that
Because
was,
you've experienced that. And, when you do experience rejection or having your ideas put down or being shamed or belittled or omitted or teased or whatever, then you have, it's a form of, I'll call them micro traumas. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I'll call it a
It
micro
is.
trauma. And
It
when you
is.
add up a lot of micro traumas, right? You know, too much of anything can really do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So, that's the story. That's what's sort of forged and reinforced in your neural pathways, right? And so undoing that and helping yourself counteract that with more positive talk, more positive people, more loving self-reflection, all of the learning that you've pursued to help support your healing, you're counterbalancing all of the negative inputs that have been, frankly, a sign of other people's perspectives. But your value is independent of other people's perspectives.
Your value is absolutely irrelevant to other people's perspective, behavior, intention, reaction. Absolutely irrelevant. And that's where the true surrender is, where you, in your heart and mind, know, regardless of the situation you're in, that you are loved, you're loved, and you're doing the best you can.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope that our stories from our own lives help you, and that you're perhaps tapping into the resources available that we've created, that we are leveraging ourselves in our life, and that you look at the True Mind Shifters Change Framework or listen to some other sessions and stories, and that you take away something good for yourself. So you're not alone, and that you feel empowerment, support, and love.
If you do like our content, please remember to share it with others. As many people will hear about it and hear that they're not alone and feel supported, that would make us happy. Please share our content, like this story, and subscribe. Perhaps it's your first time that you're listening to the story. So we have a lot of content already that we had shared, and each story that we're sharing is completely different. So maybe you will find it interesting. So please like and subscribe to our content, and we're happy to share more.